Yeah, so nice. I think it's time. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining this Let's Build session with the implementation guide editor of Simplifier. So it is a Let's Build session, so you will get your hands on. But before that, I will start with firstly briefly introducing myself. I'm Ardon Toonstra. I work at FHIR, and I'm mostly a FHIR consultant, specialized in creating FHIR profiles. And one of my biggest assignments is at Nictus, where I'm creating the Dutch-based profiles. Besides that, I'm also helping in with our FHIR tool suite and offering support for all the products we have. Among them is Forge and Simplifier. So before we start the Let's Build session, I want to go briefly through the concept of implementation guides. I will talk about our implementation guide editor, the tool from Simplifier, followed by demonstrating two implementation guides that are out there, and then I will explain the exercise a bit more. And afterwards, you can follow the exercise to create your own implementation guide with Simplifier. So, implementation guides are, well, it's actually a set of rules about how people or how implementers should use your conformance resources. And they have the purpose of an implementation guide is to provide documentation and extra support to clarify your use cases. Most of the time, your implementation guide will consist of a bunch of conformance resources and their pages or HTML pages which have the extra documentation on how to use those conformance resources. And nowadays they will mostly generate web-based pages, where on the right side you can see a couple of examples of implementation guides that are available online. And it will also include a package where you can download all the conformance resources that will be inside of the implementation guide or that are used in the implementation guide. If you zoom in a little bit closer on what contents you would normally expect to be included in the implementation guide, you will, of course, have your use cases that are written down with their technical implementation in FHIR. So, for example, how you exchange certain data with the conformance resources. You will have sections that list all your conformance resources and terminology resources, which on the right side you'll see a screenshot of the HL7 resources tab with all the conformance resources you would expect in an implementation guide. I want to note that capability statements are also very useful to include in your guide, because next to the fact that every FHIR server should have a capability statement that says what it's capable of, you can also use the capability statement resource to describe a desired solution or describe how a server or client should look like. And most of the times you also see that those are made and included in the implementation guide. Well, so this is all about the content that goes into. There are a lot of different tools that will help you create or alter those conformance resources. I will not go through them one by one. This slide will become available, so you can also go and click all the links and get to the tools. We're here for tooling that helps you create the guides itself. So not the content, but the guides. And so far, we've got three main different tools that are out there that can be used. We've got the HL7 publisher, which Lloyd talked about in the previous two sessions. We've got Trifolia, which is a kind of layer on top of the HL7 publisher to help you create that kind of implementation guides. And we got the IG editor of Simplifier, which we're here for now. So before we go to the editor, maybe it's good to know what Simplifier is. It is an online registry where everyone can publish all FHIR conformance resources. And Simplifier will do its best to render it very nicely for you. So you don't have to look at the XML or JSON from a profile, but you can actually render it. Besides that, it is a registry for conformance resources. It's also a collaboration platform where you can manage your resources, and we have additional advanced features that will help you in organizing all your conformance resources. One of those additional features is the IG editor, which comes for free for everyone. So you can use the implementation guide editor for free. If we cover the implementation guide editor at a couple of features it has, it's good to say that it is a web-based editor. It's designed to be intuitive in use, and everyone should be able to pick it up and create an implementation guide very quickly. The power is that it is connected to a collaboration platform, or like a registry, and you can use quite easily all the resources that are on Simplifier by simple placeholders. So you could just say here on the right side, render, you give a project URL and the resource URL key, and that's it to include someone else or your own resource in your IG. And we got an intelligence feature that helps you out selecting the right resource. So you will see that. We've got different designs, different formats for the implementation guide. We've got a 2-level menu implementation guide or a tree structured guide. And we have a HL17 format if you start your guide. And it also comes with logging and history. So every page you will see the things that are edited to it, and you can compare different versions of every page. Well, like I said, the implementation editor is for free, but we also have advanced features that comes with the advanced plans of Simplifier. And of those features is that you are able to create a private IG. You can add project members to it, so you can work with multiple people on one implementation guide. You can, for example, implement your own CSS or HTML, so you really can configure the style to your own organization team. We also have a Git webhook that's available, so you can set it up and actually maintain all the implementation guide pages in GitHub, and Simplifier is still able to render the implementation guide. So you have all the Git versioning benefits from GitHub. And you're allowed to, we have an export functionality where you can export the whole implementation guide as static HTML pages, so you can import it in some other content management software or host it somewhere else if you want to. Okay, let's have a look at the editor itself. So once you open the implementation guide editor, this is the editor you will work with. It's actually comprised of 3 parts. On the left side, you see this whole tree structure. This is where you can organize and structure your implementation guide pages. It works with drag and drop. And well, actually here you're looking at the editor of our Profiling Academy, which I will demonstrate later on. So on the left side, we've got all our sections, and you can easily add a new page by the tool icons on the top, where you can add a parent page or and next to, I think, a parent page or a child page. On the middle, you've got the actual editor, which is based on Markdown. And this is where you put in all your content. And on the right side, we've got the preview section of that page, which refreshes quite often, or you can press Ctrl-Enter to refresh the page. On the top, we've got some history and logging of the page. And on the right side, if you want to view the whole implementation guide, you will press the preview button and you will enter up in the guide as it is rendered online, or is it shown online. So if I would enter preview here, this is where I will end up, and you will see the whole implementation guide. So before we get on, I would like to show one of the implementation guides that is available on Simplifier right now. I was at the Norwegian FHIR tutorial yesterday, so I felt like it was very appropriate to show their implementation guide. So hang on. So I already opened it up. So this is the Norwegian basis implementation guide online with an introduction. And I think maybe most interesting to go to their profile sections and have a look at their, well, for example, patient profile. Again, click here on the patient, and we can see that they included, or they have made a Norwegian basis patient profile, and this is how Simplifier renders it here in their implementation guide. Well, another example was the Profiling Academy, which is a free online learning platform we created, and we made that in our own implementation guide editor as well. So that's also a good showcase for what the implementation guide editor can do. And you can find it if you go to the Simplifier homepage. You've got the link to the Profiling Academy here in this gray header. And now here on the screen you see that we're in the Profiling Academy guide, which has all kinds of modules listed here, but we also made a table with links. And for example, if I want to do the module Introduction to FHIR, I will click here, and well, it shows this module, and we also included some examples, for example, to other patient resources that are on Simplifier. We included that with the same simple statement as shown before. So this is the output of the implementation guide editor. For the exercise, I already prepared my own implementation guide, which I will show as well. But the whole exercise is pretty simple. I created an example project on Simplifier that contains conformance resources that you can use. And there's an exercise online which I will point you out in a second, and where you can find all the links. But before that, I will show the implementation guide that I created in this project, the DevDays IG tutorial project. So in the exercise, you will start with creating your Simplifier account if you haven't already had one. You will go to your project. You will go to the Guides tab. This is the place where you can actually create an implementation guide, which works by clicking the green button. Give it a title. Well, I already made one over here. So then afterwards, when you created one, you will see your implementation guide pop up here. And by clicking on the edit button, you will open up the IG editor. So again, it's the three parts. On the left side, I can create my structure of the IG. And in the middle, I can enter my markdown. So maybe it's good to demonstrate how I would include a random profile on Simplifier. So I would just generate or create another page over here, child page. I will say this will become my allergy intolerance profile. So now I created a new page. It will automatically have a title over here. You can adjust that. But here I'm gonna go and include a rendering of a profile that's on Simplifier. So here you will see the IntelliSense helping you out. For now, we'll just choose the render statement, which is the easiest, and it will render everything that's on Simplifier as it is. And well, I work for Nictus, so I will find my Nictus project, which is the actual active one, is the SDV based on Zips 2017. And well, there are a lot of profiles inside, but I want to have my allergy intolerance profile, so let's see if I can get it up by typing in allergy intolerance. Well, I know this is my profile over here. Click it and I will close the statement, press Ctrl Enter, and on the right side it should render my profile. And it's now showing the div because I uploaded the div. Now we have a look at how this is, well, maybe it's also fun to see the drag and drop. So for example, if I'm not happy with this page over here, and I want to move it to another section, I can just drag and drop the page and put it, for example, put in the labs observation pages. Now we'll have a look at how this is shown by Simplifier. Oh, this is my implementation guide. It actually has a custom CSS, so once you're going to start your own implementation guide, it would look a little bit more basics. So here I put some effort in making the implementation guide look a bit nicer, but it's good to show what's possible. Well, here I got some example use cases. Let's go to the observation. Now I see that there's a new tab over here. Click it, and I will see that my allergy intolerance is among the things I just created. So, now it's time to go for it yourselves. Here on the DevDays website, you can find a PDF that contains all the links, so you can and a step-by-step process on how to create your Simplifier project and how to get to the implementation guide editor to create one. And it also has the links to these two projects, where in the first, it's a project on Simplifier that contains example conformance resources you can link to, but it also has markdown pages you can use to copy and paste in your own implementation guide. So you have your implementation guide looks a little bit better if it has some lorem ipsum text in it. You can find that in the project on top as well. And the second project is the project that contains the implementation guide I just showed you. And it also is based on the example conformance resources on top. So let's start and try to create your own implementation guide, and I will, I think, walk around to answer any questions.
I have one question.
Yeah.
There was one implementation guide that was published in September, or for the September cycle. That was, for example, also attaching like a spreadsheet with data dictionary and so on. It is also possible here to do so.
You mean to include the...
So to include addition, so not just, for example, images, but also additional documents.
So the question is...
It shouldn't be an issue, I just point to that document and that's it, right?
Yeah, so the question is if the Simplifier IG editor can also contain other files besides, well, you can include images, which you can upload to your project, but you can't include Excel files. So you need to host them somewhere else and point to them. Michael.
I cannot find the exercise IG today. Am I looking at the wrong place?
Maybe you need to clear your cache from the DevDays website, because if I couldn't find them as well in the beginning, but then, so if I go to DevDays, yeah. Oh no, it's not the IG. No, it's not that one. So go to exercises, and then we've got the let's build an implementation guide with my name, Ardon Toonstra. So this one. I think you need to do Shift F5 or found it. If we open that, it's actually very basic because you can just play around with the IG editor. So you need to have a Simplifier account and create a project, which is described in the exercise. So what is a very helpful feature or helpful documentation is if you are in the editor, on the bottom left you see the help section, which is actually also an implementation guide in an implementation guide. Eat your own dog food. So if you open it up, you can see all the features you can do with the implementation guide. So for example, if you want to render FHIR, if you open up the resource overview, you can see how you are able to render all resources. So if you get stuck, this is also a good place to first start.